Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan has a history of excitement. In 1984, the snake Don Prudhomme found himself in the grass when his funny car skipped down the strip after his chute failed to fully deploy. The machine was stopped by the sand pit. Then in 1985, Ed the Ace McCullough in the far lane lined up and had a blower explode just after he left the line. And in 1987, this blowout in a qualifying round. Excitement galore at Milan Dragway. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. We welcome you to the suburbs of Detroit, Milan, Michigan, Milan Dragway for IHRA Drag Racing, the Motorcraft Northern Nationals. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber, and welcome to Milan, Michigan, a drag strip that has seen a lot of excitement during the years and a lot of speed. And as we go into the competition this weekend, there are, of course, a lot of favorites. Who might some of them be, Larry?
Well, let's start with Pro Nitro Dragsters. Gene Snow, of course, is coming in off of a win, but Dan Pastorini and Connie Khalid are here to challenge him. They'll have something to say about it. In the funny car, the Pro Funny Car classification, Kenny Bernstein is here to challenge the Mark Oswald supremacy in IHRA. And in the Pro Stockers, you have Bob Glidden and Ricky Smith. The odds have it that they should figure to meet in the finals, but we'll see how that goes. And in the Pro Alcohol Funny Cars, 4 different winners in 4 different races so far.
Well, Brett Kepner will work the pit area for us today. He has more on the history of this location. Brett?
Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan, just outside of Detroit, has long been a producer of world record elapsed times and speeds on the IHRA trail. The 1987 version of the Motorcraft Northern Nationals appears to be no different, as qualifying produced some absolutely incredible numbers, including a Pro Nitro Dragster field that's the quickest in IHRA history. It took a run of 5.64 seconds just to make the program during eliminations that we'll be seeing today. In Pro Stock Eliminator, the 16-car field averaged at over 191 miles per hour. And in Pro Alcohol Funny Car, Don Gerardo's Indiana Dodge Daytona recorded a near-record 225-mile-per-hour speed. It looks like it's going to be another fast IHRA National Championship drag racing event here today on ESPN as we present the IHRA Motorcraft Northern Nationals from Milan, Michigan.
All right, thank you, Brendan. It's all being brought to you by Motorcraft Quality Parts for all makes of cars and trucks. They exceed the need. And by Drag Review, all you need to know about drag racing. A lot of drag racing coming up in the next hour for you as we present the Northern Nationals from Milan, Michigan. We'll be back with our eliminations right after these messages. We are set for drag racing action here at Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan, and quarterfinal alcohol funny car competition coming up. In this first quarterfinal round, it's going to be Don Gerardo from Monroeville, Indiana, going up against Fred Mandolini.
Gerardo in his Dodge Daytona against Mandolini in his Wheeler Dealer Oldsmobile. Gerardo in maroon, and Mandolini on the right in blue.
Green comes on, and it looks like that Gerardo has the advantage halfway down, and he takes it.
Mandolini, the loser here, had knocked off one of the pre-race favorites last round, Tommy Johnson Jr., but Gerardo moves on.
Doing a burnout now, Arnie Karp from Peabody, Massachusetts, in the Strangler. And his opponent in this quarterfinal round is going to be Dan Nemo from Kokomo, Indiana.
Nemo had a 6.6, almost a 6.7 last round, and Karp had a 6.4. Karp's had a little more success this year also in this division, so Nemo has got to be the one slightly the underdog here in this particular quarterfinal.
As a matter of fact, Arnie Karp won the Motorcraft Summer Nationals in Atco, New Jersey, the most recent IHRA race. Let's see if he can knock off Dan Nemo here in the quarterfinals. Green goes on. Karp jumps out to the lead. It's a full car length advantage as they come down, and yeah, it's an easy victory for Arnie Karp.
Arnie Karp goes 220 miles an hour, gets a 6.4, almost duplicates his previous round, and Nemo has another 6.6. So both of them held fast. They maintained their ground, but for Nemo, not enough.
There you can see a 6:42, a 220.04 mile-an-hour run for Arnie Karp. Nemo turns in a 6:63, 209.79. Now set to go will be Bob Newberry against Bud Williams.
Newberry on the left has been one of the mainstays of alcohol funny cars in 1987. This is a very popular class, and Newberry has been one of the more successful.
Close race coming down, but Bob Newberry wins by about a half a car length. Bob Newberry turning in a 6:36, 218.97.
Newberry's ET of 6.3 is one of the stronger ones that we have seen in the last couple of rounds. Puts him in really good shape moving on to the semis.
And in our final quarterfinal round here, it's going to be Greg Moss, who you see sitting in his car as they set to fire the engine against Don DeFluter.
You can see the electric starter being fed into the engine, getting the crankshaft to turn. You can see those big, what appear to be round orange balls on top of the blower. When the car moves down the strip, those valves will open up, more air will be surged into the engine compartment, more air mixed with gas, in this case alcohol, making for more horsepower.
Greg Moss in a beautiful green machine doing a burn-off, getting set to go here. Notice how the tires change configuration drastically during these burnouts. Here's Don DeFluter getting set to go. He's from Kent, Ohio, beat Tom Harding in the opening round of competition here this weekend. DeFluter on the left and Greg Moss on the right. Quarterfinals pro alcohol funny cars. Let's see what happens. Green goes on. They come off the line virtually at the same time. Close race coming down.
DeFluter had him at the beginning, but Moss comes on at the end. I think Moss has won it.
He won by just a bumper at the most. It's a 6:46, 214.79 mile-an-hour run for Greg Moss.
Man in the brown and blue trim shirt right there. Roy Hill watching what's going on as he sees the former drag boat racer and model car builder and enthusiast who also races the model cars, Greg Moss, as he has won here.
Look how close they were, though, at the line. Moss in the near lane comes on just at the very last moment, wins by about a half a car length. So Don Gerardo, Arnie Karp, Bob Newberry, and Greg Moss advance to the semifinals in the Pro Alcohol Funny Car Division here at Milan.
Now getting ready to move over to, or move up to, perhaps I should say, the Pro Stock Division. You're looking at Jerry Haas, who set the top speed of this meet so far.
And his opponent is going to be Tim Neighbors from Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Neighbors on the right, Haas on the left. Neighbors in the Chevy Camaro and Haas in the Chevy Camaro.
It's a red light.
Tim Neighbors has jumped the gun, so to speak, and Neighbors, despite turning a 7.3, going 194 miles an hour, crossing the line ahead of Haas, loses.
So red light for Tim Neighbors, and Jerry Haas advances to the semis with a 7.33, a 191.48 mile-an-hour run down the drag strip. And here is Bob Olson from Elgin, Illinois. He defeated Mike Basil in the opening round of competition. And his opponent is going to be Ricky Smith, who has already won twice this year on the IHRA Pro Stock category. Olson with a very impressive burnout there. He appears ready to go. There is Ricky Smith, the Pro Stock points leader with 2,470 going into this weekend here at Milan.
Every time out, always a man to shoot for, Ricky Smith, particularly in IHRA competition. He seems to have him covered. He is strong every single effort, every single run, and wherever you go around the country in an IHRA meet, Ricky Smith is somebody to shoot for.
Car is getting staged now. It's Olson on the left and Ricky Smith on the right. Olson stage. Here we go. Green light comes on. Ricky Smith in the near lane has to be the favorite of this race. He begins to pull away now, and it's going to be Ricky Smith.
Ricky Smith and almost no, and listen to this reaction time. 0.027, good enough for a 7.3, 192 miles an hour, but it's the reaction time of Ricky Smith as often is the difference in the event.
Very beautifully painted car of Billy Ewing getting set to go now. And he has also some strong competition here in the quarterfinal round because his opponent is going to be Bob Glidden, who was a top qualifier at 193 miles an hour. Bob, of course, from Whiteland, Indiana.
Glidden the last couple of years has had sort of the Bobby Rahal phenomenon. He hasn't had that great start out of the blocks at the beginning of the season, but come midsummer, particularly as you get closer to fall, he is tougher than a keg of nails. This year is beginning to look like a carbon copy. If anybody can knock him off, it might be somebody like Ewing. Conditions are right. Ewing on the left in that black and gold or yellow Camaro is capable of running straight arrow runs down the strip.
And the advantage off the line goes to Billy Ewing, but here comes Bob Glidden, and Glidden wins it by about a car length.
Experience, and not talking about so much experience in driving, but setting up the car. As Bob mentioned, Ewing off the line was strong. He and Glidden had identical reaction times, but as they moved down the quarter mile, Glidden came on.
Hill has now staged, and Hayjack red lights. And it's going to be Roy Hill, the Hillbilly, advancing to the semifinals.
Hayjack may have red light as we see Hill doing the 7.3 195, but listen to this reaction time. 1/100,000th of a second for Hill.
Just about perfect. Haas, Glidden, Smith, and Hill are the winners in the quarterfinal round, and now move to the semis. We're at Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan for IHRA drag racing, and we'll be right back.
Young people from all walks of life have volunteered to take part in a frightening experiment.
Next.
For a short time each day, they are allowing their brains to be altered. Altered to the degree that paranoia has been induced. Altered to cause loss of motor functions. Altered to have adverse effects on reproductive organs. Altered to produce heart malfunction and destruction of brain cells to the point of memory loss. And acceleration of the aging process. The most frightening part of this experiment is that it is not an experiment. It's what slowly happens to you when you keep smoking pot. No one has to alter your brain. You've already volunteered to do it to yourself.
Catch him if you can. Dale Earnhardt, NASCAR's record-setting champion, is the one to beat, and only a few can do it. The race is on at the Holly Farms 400, live Sunday on ESPN.
IHRA drag racing at Milan, Michigan. Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber and Brett Kepner, and we move to the Pro Funny Car division. It's going to be Kenny Bernstein against Tom McEwen, and Brett is with one of the competitors, Tom McEwen.
In Tom the Mongoose McEwen's 30 years in professional drag racing, each and every run down the quarter mile has been a hard-fought one. But this year, each and every run down the IHRA drag racing circuit quarter mile means a lot more than just another victory. Tom's racing for the Leukemia Society of America. And Tom, you've got a tremendous program going for charity.
Yeah, well, thanks to Coors putting up the money on our qualifying runs. You know, it's like $200 a run, and at the end of the year they give a check to the Leukemia Society of America, and it's something that's pretty close to me, and it's a nice program.
And that's $200 for every elimination run down the quarter mile all through the year.
Right, and then during the week I go to children's hospitals and visit people, and we try to raise money. And the 8th of August this year is our first leukemia telethon nationally. So things are getting pretty exciting there, and I'm hoping for big things.
Well, as Tom the Mongoose McEwen continues in his quest for an IHRA World Championship in Pro Nitro Funny Car, each and every one of those eliminations wins means something special to children affected with leukemia throughout the nation.
Well, just proof positive, Larry, that race drivers and drag racers not only race for themselves, but they race for those who are less fortunate.
Kenny Bernstein in 1987 has been out-qualified only once in something like 10 or 11 combined professional meets. Bernstein has been on a tear in 1987, as he was in 86. He squirms as he gets off the line. He breaks the beam, but still, it's an easy win for Kenny Bernstein.
Had just a little bit of tire smoke coming off the line, but the tires quickly grabbed, and Kenny Bernstein went on to a victory with a 563, 261.62 mile-an-hour run, and Kenny Bernstein advances. Doc Holliday set to go against Steve Hodkinson in this round.
You've managed to continue your streak of qualifying at every single event so far on the IHRA Trail this year. There's got to be a secret.
Well, Jerry and the crew have done an extremely good job in maintaining the car, and that's helped our consistency. And without the parts breakage, we kind of know where we're at. We're not going out breaking something and then trying to figure out why we broke it.
The Jerry that Doc refers to as Jerry Newman, the chief mechanic, and nobody can do it alone. Certainly no driver can, and Jerry Newman is one of the more solid in the league.
A couple of Dodge Daytonas going at it here. Doc Holliday in the Telstar Daytona, and Steve Hodkinson from Oklahoma City in the Hodkinson Daytona.
This is almost a David and Goliath type battle. Doc Holliday in the direct connection Dodge. He's getting some factory attention, if not support, and Steve Hodkinson is one of the hardest racing independent racers you'll find anywhere in the country in any type of racing.
Here we go.
Oh, Hodkinson almost losing it, and that almost twirled just as he passed the start line certainly put him in a bad condition to run down the strip and perhaps cost him that race.
589, 245.90 for Doc Holliday. Here's Mark Oswald from Cleves, Ohio, the 87 Motorcraft Keystone Auto Parts champion. And his opponent in this quarterfinal round is going to be Jim White from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
White, there you see him. The Mohawk Express is a new name to top funny car competition in IHRA. This is Oldsmobile. He pulls a major assignment here, his first time out of the box for IHRA competition, at least in the final rounds for 1987, going up against the Big O, the 1986 IHRA World Champion from Cleves, Ohio, in the Candies and Hughes machine.
Motocraft, Candies and Hughes Thunderbird with Mark Oswald, and Oswald goes off the line, but Jim White does not, and so Mark Oswald wins by default with a 576.
Well, there you can see it, White on the left, and he just simply sits at the line. Oswald goes on to win this one, and Mark Oswald moves on.
Mark, a 575 at 254 miles per hour proves you haven't lost the combination since qualifying.
Now we went at it a little soft to see how the track would be this morning. We're happy with the way it ran.
Well, I don't know if you know it or not, but your opponent, Jim White, actually had the parachute fall out of the pack on the line. A tough break.
That's what they told me. It's too bad.
Well, good luck to you, and it appears right now that you're the only one that can manhandle this racetrack.
We're going to give it a try.
Well, that's an unfortunate situation and something that you don't see every day. White unable to go because his parachute fell out of its housing, and that pretty much spelled the end for him. It's going to be Ed the Ace McCullough in the Miller American going against Darrell Emerson from Osseo, Minnesota.
Ed the Ace McCullough, who got his nickname from a sports writer when he beat a match racer called the King. The sports writer said the only thing better than a king is the ace. That's McCullough on the right.
He has to be considered the favorite going in here. Lots of sponsorship behind him, but Darrell Amberson is an
McCullough's off the ground, Bob. A wheel stand. McCullough apparently out of the throttle for just a second, digging to pick up ground. He falls short.
A big upset as Darrell Amberson knocks off Ed the Ace McCullough with a 6:43.245. Look at the wheel stand that McCullough has coming off the line. He simply has to back off the accelerator to get the car back down to the ground, and it resulted in his being defeated. Let's go to Brett.
Darrell, one of the biggest upsets of this particular event. Both machines smoking the tires big time, and here's a happy crew. By 300ths or 400ths of a second, you nailed the Ace.
Well, I knew it was close. I knew it smoked. I left it. I hit it again. She bit, and I knew it was really close going up. I mean, we were just neck and neck. When it crossed the finish line, I wasn't sure if I'd win or not. It was that close.
6:43 to 6:47, way off pace, but it was enough to put you in the semifinals.
Great, thank you.
So, not only Amberson, but also Mark Oswald, Doc Holliday, and Kenny Bernstein move into the semifinals here at Milan in the Pro Alcohol Funny Car division. And now we move to the Pro Nitro Dragsters. And this first round of activity is going to involve Earl Whiting from Monsanto, Washington. And his opponent is going to be Hank Indris in the John Terry racing machine. Hank hails from Pennville, New Jersey.
Boy, you heard of the North versus the South. Well, here is the Northwest versus the Far East. Both ends of this great country of ours, the 48 contiguous states, are covered.
Both cars now staged. Oh, Whiting red lights. Whiting has red lighted, so it's going to be an easy win for him.
Henderson smoking the car, and he's falling sideways. Hank Indris, the engine is still firing off as he goes over the wall backwards, upside down. Hank Indris in a spectacular one.
Oh, just a terrific crash. The car sideways goes over the steel guardrail that has now come to a rest. With the car smoking badly, we're watching closely for some movement inside that roll cage. The IHRA safety personnel on the scene almost immediately. You can see a medical personnel there, and you can also see a fireman on hand to make sure that no blaze erupts. But just a terrific, horrifying crash by Hank Indris. Let's hope for the best.
Bob, I know we have not seen any movement yet, but keep in mind that these cars are specifically designed to keep the driver down inside. First of all, the replay now back up to the front end of this. You can see the red light vividly here on the right side as Whiting takes off. And then down the strip, Indris is going down, getting close to halfway. And now we're getting reports that apparently some crews are suspecting that some liquid was getting onto the left rear tire, putting the car into a slide to the right. Of course, drag racers are not meant to go sideways. Whatever that liquid was getting on the right rear tire put him into that spin. He goes over the wall. You know, at first glance, I thought he had gone over the wall upside down, Bob, but going over right side up like that is a good sign.
You can see the car overturning and finally coming to a rest upside down. You can see the wheel still turning very violently, digging a hole, as a matter of fact, in the grass where the car finally comes to a rest.
All the drag racers are equipped, and we've got some movement in there. Hank, although, is obviously stunned.
Okay, any pain here? Okay, any pain up in here? Guys, we'll start on the track. Okay, slowly forward, slowly forward.
Yeah, he is moving. It looks good.
Some dramatic moments here, Bob.
Okay.
We'll just listen to the conversation down here at the scene of the crash.
Go that way.
But boy, that is just unbelievable. You see he's a little groggy, but to get out of an accident like this and walk to the stretcher is just a tremendous thing to see. And the crowd also applauding. And very glad to see Hank Indris apparently okay. He's shaken, there's no doubt about it. Anybody would be after that such a terrific crash, but
ain't bad for an old man, I ain't sure.
I'll tell you what, appears to be okay.
Huh?
The tech director from IHRA that investigates firsthand, up front, close and personal, every crash is on site. But you can see Hank is shaking off the effects of that crash, and I am astounded but very pleased, needless to say.
Here once again is the crash. The car getting sideways and then almost immediately overturning to its side and sliding on its side off of the pavement itself and onto the grass. And then, as the car moves on, it does strike the guardrail, goes back up on its wheels, over the guardrail, then flips upside down once again and comes to a rest upside down. But Hank Indris has climbed out of this mess on his own and appears as if he is going to be okay, but of course they'll check him over at the local medical facility. Just a terrific crash. We're glad, however, to see Hank Indris apparently okay. And we'll be right back with more from Milan. What's left of Hank Indris' car being towed off of the racetrack. Let's go for an update on this situation to the pit area and Brett Kepner.
This harrowing episode has a rather unusual twist. John Kerry, the team owner for Hank Indris' dragster, has gone back to the pits to find parts to put in his number 2 dragster, the machine that Kerry normally drives during competition. Indris has been sent to the hospital to be checked over, but obviously was conscious, knew where he was, and seemed to be okay. If he can get back from the hospital in time, and if we can find out whether or not driving that second car is legal under IHRA rules, believe it or not, Hank Indris may still be in this race.
That's an unbelievable situation that anyone would want to go back the next day or even later that same day and do it again.
As we look at the snowman who is lining up in the next race, Indris did win that event. Keep in mind that he crossed the electric eye down at the speed trap sideways at 226 miles an hour.
Gene Snow against Connie Coletta. Snow in the far lane. Connie Coletta smokes the tires. Gene Snow going to get the victory.
Look at this time and the miles per hour, Bob. A brand new IHRA world record at 273.55 miles per hour.
5:41 for Gene Snow. Let's go to Brett, who is with the owner of Indris' car.
So far, the rumors are rampant, as your crewman just said, as to the cause. It looked to us like the car just burned a couple of pistons and oiled down the rear tires.
No, we didn't burn a piston. We had a ruptured line right down here. A line ruptured on us, and plus I think we had a little steering problem. I think the front end was, Hank realigned the front end this morning. I think we had a little lineup problem. And I think he drove to the left a little bit, and then it oiled the tires. I think he could have got out of there going to the left, but when it broke the oil line, that's what really...
The very specific and strict rules that IHRA has as far as safety is concerned sure paid off today, as that roll cage held up well. There are the finalists, the semi-finalists, I should say, in Pro Nitro dragsters: Mullins, Indris, Snow, and Pastorini. And we'll return for more of our IHRA drag racing from Milan, Michigan, right after this. Championship drag racing sanctioned by the nation's most progressive sanctioning body, the International Hot Rod Association. Semi-finals in pro alcohol funny cars. It's John Gerardo, who had a 639.218.51 in the quarterfinals, going up against Arnie Karp.
Gerardo, Bob, is the only man of the final 4 in alcohol funny cars today who has not won an IHRA meet in the last couple of seasons. And one of the real positive signs for any division of racing is to see a new winner. Right now, that emphasis and all the attention is on Gerardo. He's got a shot. Gerardo's with it. He is faltering as he moves down the quarter mile.
Good race, though. Again, the margin of victory just about a bumper. And Arnie Karp from Peabody, Massachusetts, will go into the finals. He runs a 6:43, a 220.04 miles an hour.
Arnie Karp in bright yellow and white won the last race, the Atco Summer Nationals. Karp is one of 4 single winners in this division so far this year, and he now becomes the only man who's got a shot at going after 2 in a row in alcohol funny cars for 1987.
Again, look how close it is. Just about a half a car length, perhaps, on the replay showing us a little bit better, but in any case, a very close race. Now in our next semifinal round, it's going to be Bob Newberry going up against Greg Moss. Moss defeated Don DeFluter in the quarters, and Newberry defeated Bud Williams.
This is a replay of the All-Pro Winter Nationals at Darlington, South Carolina, when Newberry defeated Moss in the final round. Here's Greg Moss getting staged.
Now watch the lights at the top of your screen. When the second set goes on in each lane, the cars are staged. Then the Christmas tree will count down to green. There it is. And Moss just off the line a little bit squirrely, tries to pull it out desperately. I don't know whether he did or not. Who won, Larry?
It's still a side-by-side, and from the reaction of Bob Newberry's crew, they think that they won. Let's see what word we're getting officially from the tower. Yes, Newberry 6.39 defeats Moss's 6.44. Now, on this replay, which we're going to take a look at, watch what happens to Greg Moss about 100 feet after he breaks the guard beam. He does a little dance. I think that visit to the gymnasium dance cost him the win.
See the car getting just a little bit sideways as it came off the line, but it was enough to ruin the momentum and allow him to finish just that far behind Bob Newberry. So it's going to be Bob Newberry who defeats Greg Moss going up against Arnie Karp, who handled John Girardo, and Newberry will have the lane choice. And there is Bob Glidden, who is trying to win another IHRA race here this weekend, signing autographs. Ricky Smith set to go here in this semifinal round, and his opponent is going to be Roy Hill.
Remember that Roy Hill turned that astounding reaction time in his quarterfinal round, 1/1000th of a second. Yes, .001. Can he do it again?
Smith on the far lane and Roy Hill in the near lane. Good race coming down. Ricky Smith with the advantage in the win.
Boy, just by a very little bit, just about the length of a bumper, though, Bob. Hill turned in one of his finest performances, but when you're going up against this man, you have to turn in perhaps the finest performance of your career to win. Now, Hill is away again at .09. That's 9/100ths of a second. Ricky Smith at 1/10th of a second, or 10/100ths of a second.
And the crew very jubilant over Ricky Smith's victory here in the semis. He will move to the finals here at Milan.
Wow, that was close.
As we go to the line, and here's Brett with the winner, Ricky Smith, as he gets out of his car.
Come out for a while,
Oh, God. As a matter of fact, we were somewhat concerned about that down here as well. But regardless, you'll be more than happy to know that it finally came around. 7:28 at 193 ahead of Roy Hill's very close 7:31. It was a close race.
Oh, it had to be close. I mean, Roy beat me at ATCO a couple weeks ago, and I knew that I had to have a good light to hold him off. And just thank the Lord I had a good light, and I'm proud of Motorcraft sticking behind us here. And Roy's tough. Just what can I say? He is tough.
I know Roy, like you said, just nipped you at ATCO, and this was kind of a revenge match, but you're in the final, and I think the sponsors are probably pleased.
Oh, I hope so. I'm just glad to be in the finals.
We'll see you there against the winner of the next race.
Thank you.
Bob, there was only 3/100ths difference in their ETs, shifting through the gears. Hill came on at the end. Gary Haas is coming up next against Glidden. Hill almost caught him after losing out in the middle of the race.
Jerry Haas has his assignment and his work cut out for him as he's going up against many-time champion Bob Glidden in the right lane, now the near lane to you. In the fourth Thunderbird, sponsored by Motorcraft, Glidden has a tough race, but he wins.
Boy, Glidden keeps right on rolling along. A 7.25. Glidden's down there again. Bob Glidden moves on to the finals. He turns to 193.5 miles an hour.
Boy, look at this matchup for the finals. A classic matchup. Ricky Smith will go against Bob Glidden, and Bob Glidden will have the lane choice. Now, a quick fact brought to you by New Quaker State with QSX. Keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
There's a very, very fine line between too much of a nitromethane percentage in the tank and too little. Too much will allow you to incinerate just about every piston in the engine and possibly do even more damage. Too little nitromethane, and there won't be enough power to get around your opponent. Bear one thing in mind. The Pro Nitro Dragster and Pro Nitro Funny Cars you're seeing here today at the IHRA Northern Nationals will burn anywhere from 8 to 14 gallons of nitromethane per quarter-mile run. And that, my friends, is at a cost of $29.50 a gallon. Although it may indeed be one of the most expensive fuels in use in motorsports today, is this jug full of nitromethane that enables these machines to produce over 3,000 horsepower.
Boy, if you buy that stuff in the fuel station, the service station, and your family car, you're going to spend about $1,000 to fill it up. We'll be right back with more. Here at Milan, believe it or not, Hank Idris is out of the hospital already and back at the track. Here's Greg.
As incredible as it seems, only 1.5 hours after that devastating crash in the first round of eliminations, Hank Idris is back at the racetrack. And Hank, I got to say, you look fine.
I feel fine. A little sore, but other than that, it'll be all right.
You know, many of our viewers may not know it, but you've been around Nitro Dragsters a long, long, long time. And in that 20-year career, this has got to be the wildest ride you've ever had.
I think this is the worst crash I've ever had, without a doubt.
Do you have any idea what happened yet other than a broken oil line?
The car was staying close to the center line, and I was trying to pull it back, and it just was riding close, but it wasn't going over. And I guess when the oil line blew out, it started to go over, and I pulled back hard to get it away. And then it come up on one tire, then the other tire, and then it was over.
Just an unbelievable crash. Hank Indris is okay, however. But needless to say, he and the car are not going to be able to go, so Bill Mullins from Pelham, Alabama is going to get this solo run here and move into the finals in Pro Nitro Dragsters.
He'll have to make this run. Oh, and he's not going to go after lane choice, Bob, which surprises me a little bit, but Mullins, of course, is going to be an automatic winner. But Indris was, of course, not allowed to come back and race. The rules prohibit him from competing in, we now understand, in another machine. But I'm a little surprised that Mullins just took that casual stroll down the strip.
Well, Dan Pastorini will be going against Gene Snow here in our other semifinal. And as you saw earlier, the fastest mile-an-hour run in history of IHRA was executed by Gene Snow earlier. With Pastorini on the left and Snow on the right, it should be a good one as Snow begins to take the advantage, and he beats Pastorini.
Boy, Pastorini's machine just ended up in a pool of mud about 3/4 of the way down the quarter mile. The car just seemed to almost stall out, and Pastorini is defeated.
So the matchup in the finals for Pro Nitro Dragsters, Bill Mullins, who's on the left, and Gene Snow, and Snow will have the lane choice. And you can see now that they're beginning to cover up the machinery here because it's beginning to rain at Milan. So this is going to delay things just a bit for us. Not a real heavy rain, but nevertheless enough to wet the drag strip. And it's going to call upon the jet dryer and some of the other service trucks to run up and down the drag strip to try to dry it off once again. There you can see the jet blower that's been called upon to help get the moisture off the racetrack and some dry conditions back underway. So at the moment, with just a little bit of moisture falling, we have at Milan. We'll take a break and be right back with more. Through the magic of television, we join you one day later. Postponed here until Monday morning. You can see it's still cloudy, but there's no rain, and the drag strip is dry. We're ready for the finals of the 1987 Northern Nationals here at Milan, Michigan. And we move, first of all, to the Alcohol Funny Car Division. It'll be Arnie Karp going against Bob Newberry. And Newberry's car now being started. As you can see, Bob hails from Schenectady, New York. Beautiful yellow machine as the frame is lowered onto the car. And Arnie Karp will be his opponent. Karp looking for his second straight IHRA win.
Bob, we are going to end up with a two-time winner, the first one in 1987 in Alcohol Funny Cars. Newberry won the first meet of the year. Karp won the last meet. This is Newberry, the man right there, his fourth final round of this season. Stage.
Green.
Karp is really powering down the quarter mile. It was just no contest. I truly expected it to be much closer than that, but Arnie Karp reigns as the 1987 Motorcraft Nationals champion.
And there you can see the crew getting in the chase car, going to the end of the strip, and we have an in-car camera. Let's ride with them.
One of the whole show. Love it.
All that hard work pays off.
Love Monday mornings.
And a good reaction time from Arnie helped him win with a .037 reaction time. Now, Ricky Smith getting set to go against Bob Glidden. Let's go to Brett.
With Bob Glidden running so strong now that he apparently has solved his tire shake problems, you've got to be concerned since the other Motorcraft Thunderbird is out there in front again.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Glidden's always tough, and I know he'd figure it out sooner or later. It's taken him a little while, but he can still jump up and get him. He's still letting his car get a little radical, I think, you know, but I don't know it all. But
Well, Ricky has won twice, and Bob Glidden has won once already in IHRA competition. Smith won at Darlington, and he also won at Bristol, and Bob Glidden won in Atco. We're ready to go in the finals. This should be a classic matchup. Let's see what happens. Motorcraft Thunderbirds going at it head to tail, and it is Bob Glidden Glidden, and it looked like that Ricky Smith shut off.
Ricky just got out of the throttle, and Glidden turns in another 7-2. Wife Etta and family very jubilant. Bob Glidden, as we go back and take a look at this, he turns in another perfect run. He has recorded 7.2s in the last 4 rounds now of competition, and Bob Glidden, as usual, a very jubilant winner.
Bob, another 720 at over 193 miles per hour. The consistency of the Motorcraft Thunderbird this weekend has been nothing short of phenomenal.
Well, I think we can attribute that to the people here at the track, the way they prepared the track. You know, we had the rain that shut everything off on yesterday's race. We came back this morning and we did run, I think, another 726, a hundredth off the pace. So the Ford Motorcraft Thunderbird was consistent.
Our congratulations to Bob Glidden. There's always a lot of fun at eating at a drag race, and Brett has found a prime example of that.
At any IHRA drag racing event, you'll find a myriad of vendors selling everything from hot dogs to hamburgers to soda pop to popcorn. But here at the IHRA Motorcraft Northern Nationals, we found what may be one of the most unique vending stands anywhere in racing. This is the London Township Senior Citizens booth, and for the last 4 years, these race fans come out to the Northern Nationals selling soda and fresh homemade daily cherry pie, apple pie, blueberry pie, and brownies. And this is Mary Pospiso. And Mary, you've been coming here for a couple of years, and the fans love this stuff.
Oh, yes, we enjoy coming here.
Well, I know you all have fun each and every year. Like I said, you make this stuff every night fresh,
yes,
right?
Yes, we do. It makes you feel young again with all these other happy people.
Those brownies are just about as good as Grandma used to make.
Well, thank you. Well, Grandma's made them.
Back to you, gentlemen.
And that is good, mouth-watering stuff, I want to tell you. Set next, the Pro Nitro Dragster Finals. We'll be right back. Pro Nitro Dragster Finals here at Milan, Michigan. This should be a good matchup as Gene Snow from Fort Worth, Texas, who defeated Dan Pastorini in the semis, is going to go up against Bill Mullins, who had a bye in the semis as Hank Indris was unable to show up. But in the quarterfinal round, he defeated Jack Ostrander. So it's going to be Snow against Mullins here.
2 veteran racers who don't have an opportunity that often to get to the finals. Both of them are staged. Green light.
Gene Snow in the far lane is going to win easily as a big puff of smoke goes up from the Bill Mullins machine. Gene Snow turns at a 5:43. That translates to a speed of 268 miles an hour. Let's go to Brett.
I'll take it.
Well, Gene, what a way to end this thing for you after such domination during eliminations. 5:53 at 268 miles per hour. Bill Mullins killing a motor right behind you.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
He, as a matter of fact, ran 587 at only 200 miles per hour. It must have been a race up to that point.
He was ahead for a little while. We were smoking the tires on the start line on the dry, so I held the brake and let him get out on me a little bit. I was kind of worried about it.
I might point out you were the first man in 1987 to win 2 Pro Nitro Dragster titles, and this will put you way up there in the points.
We're really excited about that. We can't hardly wait till the next one.
I don't think the Snow Racing team can complain now that you've got the IHRA World Speed Record, your 2nd straight win. You've really put on a show here.
Well, we're real pleased to do it and enjoy running the IHRA, and Norwalk, Ohio's the next one. We'll be there.
We'll see you at the World Nationals.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the speed record set earlier this weekend at 273.55 miles an hour. Here is the run.
Up against Connie Kalita. Kalita smoking the tires violently at the line, backed off, but Snow stayed on the throttle all the way down. Turned in that astounding 273 mile per hour run.
So Gene Snow wins his 2nd title in a row here at Milan. Kenny Bernstein doing a burnout as he gets set to go in the finals here against Mark Oswald. And we talked to him earlier about his thoughts before the race.
Kenny, after your first 2 wins at the very first 2 IHRA national events this year, Mark Oswald has already moved into the points lead, and you always run well here at Milan. You've got to be looking for big things coming into this event.
Oh, we hope so. Of course, we didn't attend 2 of those events, so I gave him a little chance to run 4 against R2, and that's nice. Mark's a good one, and they run good, but we're at Milan now, and we'll take up the battle again, and hopefully we can do some good with the Budweiser Quaker State Buick.
And Mark Oswald is going to be his opponent here in the finals. He defeated Darrell Amberson in the quarterfinals to move all the way to the final round.
Bob, in the last 2 years, Bernstein on the left, Oswald on the right have met 7 times head-to-head. Right now, Oswald has the advantage. He's won 4, Bernstein 3 of them. Bernstein looks like he has the edge today.
No contest, really. Kenny Bernstein defeats Mark Oswald with a 567, 260.11 miles an hour. And Kenny Bernstein adds another victory to his column, his 3rd of the year. And the crew in the chase vehicle.
Dale Armstrong in the driver's seat of the chase vehicle. There is Bernstein on the left. Armstrong, of course, a longtime successful driver of drag racing also. Kenny Bernstein, who in the last 3 seasons has won over 20 championships.
It was an awesome performance all weekend long, and this will put you right in the thick of things with Mark Oswald as far as the points championship is concerned.
Well, we hope we made up some room on Mark, and those guys really run good with that Motorcraft Thunderbird. They're great. It's hard to catch them. I tell you, we've had some great wars and battles over the last 3 or 4 years. They're a great race team, and it'll be hard to catch them through the year, but we're looking forward to running some more IHRA races, and of course winning on ESPN if we can, and take the Budweiser King Quaker State Buick right to the top if it's possible.
Well, after 3 appearances and 3 straight wins, we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the year.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Regular on ESPN Speed Week, Kenny Bernstein. We'll check the points and review the winner of the Sportsman divisions right after these messages. We're at Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan for the Motorcraft Northern Nationals. Let's review for you now the winner in the Sportsman category. First of all, in Top Sportsman, it was Terry Housley defeating Terry Sinke, and in the Modified class, Herb Campbell defeated Ian Landis.
In Quick Rod, Dick Fox and Greg True went at it with Dick Fox winning, and in Super Stock, Jim Reynolds defeated Steve Taylor.
Next, in Super Rod, it was Ronald Duke over Joe Tankersley. And in Hot Rod, Jim Dottis defeated Gary Rogers.
And rounding out the sportsman classes, David Wood from Michigan knocked off neighbor Tom Kovacs from Ontario.
And our regular feature, Sportsman of the Week, here is Brett.
With over 700 different sportsman machines at each IHRA National Championship event, it's awfully hard to have one car stand out above the rest. But the car standing behind myself and driver Mike Boyles for the last 16 years has been one of the most popular cars ever built to drag race on the IHRA circuit. And Mike, the good old Charlie Brown 4-door 57 wagon is so spectacular. What makes this car so popular?
Well, the children like it a whole lot because of the picture and all on it, and it does a lot of wheel stands, and it normally runs pretty fast.
Well, after umpteen national event victories, in fact 16 I believe with this car, it's interesting to note that this isn't really one 57 Chevy wagon. You built it out of 3 cars from a junkyard back in 1970, right?
Yes, it was wrecked cars, and each car had a different component good on it, and we used all the good parts we could get.
I know you receive a lot of help from a lot of local sponsors, and you travel across the country in pursuit of IHRA wins, and we wish you the best of luck with this incredibly popular car.
Well, thank you, Brett. I appreciate it.
Now checking the point standings. In Pro Alcohol Funny Car, Bob Newberry with a substantial lead on Don DeFluter.
And in Pro Stocks, Ricky Smith with a comfortable lead over Hill and Glidden and Neighbors. And in Pro Nitro Dragsters, Gene Snow has moved ahead by 700 points over Michael Brotherton.
And in the Pro Funny Cars, Mark Oswald is the points leader. Well, an exciting weekend of drag racing here at Milan. A terrific crash involving Hank Indris. He was uninjured, and some excellent racing.
Bob, what impressed me the most was the technology. After the rain delay from Sunday, everybody came back on Monday, the 8 people who had made the 4 finals, and nobody seemed to miss a beat. They were all right on cue where they were on Sunday afternoon.
And here's Brett Kepner with a recap of the winners in the various divisions. Brett?
Despite the rain delay, the 1987 IHRA Motorcraft Northern Nationals proved once again the dominance of Kenny Bernstein's incredible Budweiser King Buick LeSabre, which in 1987 is now undefeated in IHRA national event appearances. In Pro Stock Eliminator, the Motorcraft Team 1-2 punch is just about impossible to beat. Bob Glidden's awesome string of 7.2-second elapsed times at speeds of over 193 miles per hour on every single run down the quarter mile overshadowed even Ricky Smith's 4th trip to the final round in Pro Stock this year. In Pro Nitro Dragster, Gene Snow managed to establish dominance, something that nobody else has been able to do in Pro Nitro Dragster this year, winning his 2nd race of 1987 and, of course, establishing that new speed record of over 273 miles per hour. As we've pointed out before on ESPN, IHRA's championship drag racing season does not appear to be cooling down. We'll be at the next IHRA National Championship event in Norwalk, Ohio, the World Nationals, coming up.
Brett, that's our next event here on ESPN from Norwalk, Ohio.